I'm back from holiday, I'm feeling very rested, and it's time to get organized. It feels so good to be home. All I want to do now is just putter around my house and make food and get organized. So I thought I'd show you what I'm doing to kind of get organized in the kitchen and start to feel like I'm a step ahead of things and make it so that I can make dinner and make breakfast and just do whatever I need to do on the fly. First things first, I had to go grocery shopping. I'm a bit of a cyclist. I ride my bike just about everywhere. And after 2 months of being away from my bike, it felt so good to jump back on. So I loaded myself up with a backpack and my milk crate with a few bags, and I headed on over to the store. I needed to get some essentials, and I wanted to get lots of veggies because, you know, it's been a bit of an indulgent holiday, and I want to eat food that makes me feel really nourished from every angle. You know, I want it to feel healthy, and I want it to feel satisfying, and I want it to be delicious, of course. This grocery trip was all about staples. So I got a bag of onions, a big bag of potatoes, a big bag of peppers, carrots, a few apples. I got a couple cobs of corn because it's in season right now and the price looked good. Peaches are also in season right now, so I grabbed a couple of those. A couple of cabbages because I want to make some sauerkraut. I got a tub of Balkan style yogurt. That's because I want to get back into the yogurt making routine and I needed some starter yogurt to kick things off. A head of broccoli, always good to have a head of broccoli on hand. I got a big carton of eggs. We go through a lot of eggs. A couple of lemons, some bananas, 2 kinds of pickles, dill pickles, and I got pickled beets. I also grabbed a few sweet potatoes and yams. I want to get in the habit of baking potatoes and sweet potatoes and just having them baked and in the fridge and ready for me. I got a couple red onions as well because I'm going to make some pickled red onions. And I also got some chicken tenders because these were on sale. Whenever I see discounted meats that are like use tonight kind of specials, I tend to buy them because I have the same mentality in the grocery store as I do in my own fridge. I don't like food waste. I don't want things to go bad. So whenever I see that something needs to be used tonight, I'm like, oh, I really should get it if I can use it. I also grabbed a cucumber because we have a lot of tomatoes right now and I'm not quite ready to give up the cucumber and tomato lifestyle. We actually had some subletters staying in our place while we were away, and they took such good care of the place. And they took such good care of our 4 tomato plants that we had outside. They said they'd been eating tomatoes for weeks and we still have tons of cherry tomatoes. I mean, this is just from today and yesterday and they're just fast and furious, you know? And they're delicious. Summer's not over yet. Once I got my groceries put away, I wanted to make a giant pot of soup, because I want something that we can just eat for the next few days that'll sustain us and that it'll just feel really nourishing and cozy. So I made my usual chicken soup, this time using those chicken tenders. I didn't have fresh dill and there wasn't any fresh dill in the store, so I used dried dill and it was delish. I mean, the chicken was a little dry because that white meat just doesn't do as good of a job as dark meat, but it was still pretty good. I just used the Instant Pot this time and I didn't even saute anything. I just dumped everything in the pot, water, better than bouillon, chucked it on for 10 minutes and it was actually really, really delicious. I didn't put any noodles in this time, I just used lots of potatoes instead. With those cabbages, I wanted to prep some sauerkraut so that we can be crowded up for the next little while. So I just grated those cabbages. I added a few carrots as well, and a little bit of ginger that was super dried up and kind of just in the bottom of our fridge. I always use about a tablespoon of salt per head of cabbage. And I always end up using some water as well, some salty water, because I find that cabbages, no matter how much you squish them, they don't tend to give off enough juice, or at least not as much juice as I want. I do want to buy some fermenting weights, but I keep forgetting. So for now, it's being held down with a cabbage leaf. And I'll just leave those on the counter for a week or 2 or 3 and we'll have kraut. I love having sauerkraut on hand because it's just like a ready to go veggie. If I'm, eating pizza for dinner or something else and I don't really feel like preparing any veggies, I can just have a few spoonfuls of sauerkraut and it's great. Before we went away, I dehydrated some of my sourdough starter. I brought some of it to Bulgaria with me and I did use it, but it wasn't really something that I was very interested in doing when I was over there. It was super hot. Our oven situation was always kind of unpredictable. So I ended up just using up the starter that I brought and then just forgetting about it. But I did keep some dehydrated starter here at home so that it would be easy for me to just revive it and get back into the sourdough kick. All I did was spread the starter out on a baking sheet really thinly, and it just dries in a really cool way. And then you don't even need to grind it up or anything. You can just leave it in kind of flakes. And then when you add in the water and the flour and let it kind of sit overnight, those flakes just kind of melt and dissolve. This starter will take a while to become viable enough to make bread with, probably about 4 or 5 days of feeding. But for now, it's great to use to make pizza crusts, which I love to do. And that's another way that I can feel very organized for when we've got back to school stuff going on. I know that I can just pull a frozen pizza crust out of the freezer, top it with some pizza toppings, and we've got dinner. So with all the feeding that I'm doing to this reconstituted sourdough starter, I'm able to make a big stack of pizza crusts. I think I'm gonna get about 5 crusts. I also wanted to get back on the yogurt program, so I made my Instant Pot yogurt. My whole process for making Instant Pot plain yogurt is on my blog, and there's also a video, so you can check that out. I'll leave the link below. I use plain yogurt for so many things. If you want to hear more about that, you can check out my plain yogurt video. I also have a video all about yogurt dips. Love plain yogurt, use it all the time, need it on hand at all times. As for other kind of prepped items, I have a few tubs of frozen refried beans that I made before I went away. I'll be pulling those out and making like quick little burrito bowls with those. I also have a freezer full of frozen berries and a cupboard full of oats. So I'm gonna be having a lot of porridge breakfasts. That was something I was really craving while we were gone, is just a bowl of porridge. So I'm on a bit of a kick again. I got a little bit obsessed with stuffed peppers while we were away. And so I'm gonna do a meaty version, which is like a rice and ground beef version. And once I get that perfected, I will fill you in on the recipe. And that's about it. That's how I'm getting organized after coming back from holiday. I've got that fresh start feeling and it feels really good. So I'm just gonna ride it out and make lots of healthy, delicious food. And I'm gonna try and keep this well-rested, well-holidayed mentality and have it carry me through the next few months. Really wanna keep this feeling. Thanks so much for joining me on this week's episode. Let me know what you want to see in the fall season, which is coming up, and I'll see you then.